Hi everybody, I'm Ruechel from Spectrum Bay News 9, but have spent the last 28 years doing this program, and we love to talk to people within Pinellas County Schools and what it is they do, and Dr. Michael Grego joins us right now. I was just doing the calendar. I started this back in 1988.
Wow.
I know. That was just after the wheel was invented.
You haven't aged one bit. You're doing
Keep
great.
Keep it coming, Doctor. Hey, we are in the middle of graduation season. How many graduations do you end up going to?
I try to get to about 10 or 12 of them. I go to our traditional high schools, and I always pick one or two special centers and then alternative centers, so I try to really run the gamut. But my staff covers each and every one of them, and so do our school board members, so thank you to them. We're having 4 more today. We had one late last night, and we even have 2 on Saturday this year.
Wow.
So that's good.
It's good. Just another thing to talk about before we get the notes. You had the State Board of Education came to visit Pinellas County, and I heard that it was a very good visit.
It was. They called me several months ago to see if we could host their meeting here, and I said, oh, absolutely. And so we turned over our conference hall, so where our board members sit, they sat. And
neat.
They held their board meeting, and I was able to give a little bit of a State of the Union address for Pinellas County, where we're at, where we've come from, and where we're going. And I thought it went very, very well. The commission was very complimentary, as were the state board members. We had a couple of our school board members sitting in the audience this time in there, and they were very complimentary of our district, the progress we're making, and also the facilities that they had their meeting. And so I'm pleased to host it and welcome them back anytime.
Yeah. You know, normally we don't talk about other school districts, but it's really interesting because Hillsborough is going through some real difficult times with their budgeting process. And I got to thinking about how fortunate we are in Pinellas County to have that penny for Pinellas, and that voters have agreed each time to provide additional funding. That's got to help in the budgeting process.
It does. The referendum that is centered around for our teachers to really recruit good teachers here in Pinellas County is huge. And also, as you know, you're a huge fan of the arts. That referendum also supports the music and arts program, our reading program. It supplements the state categorical for reading. And so all of these things have made a tremendous impact on our student achievement and really the roundedness of our curriculum. It isn't only about reading and math and test scores and FSA and things like that, but it's about offering a tremendous athletic program, a music program, the fine arts, and many other things to capture the students' interests. Speaking
of budgets and stuff, going forward, you know, you had a marginal increase. Is that going to
47 cents.
Yeah, 40. Well, I mean, it was, I almost said no increase, but it was small enough that at least you know where you stand going into the next year.
It is going to be a difficult year for all districts based on that. And mainly we look at that base student allocation as a means to keep up with inflation. We look at the rising cost of health care, the rising cost of energy. Our energy bill went up about 7% this year, health care 4 to 6%. These are things that are not in our control, and so we continue to cut ways around administrative factors and operational factors, and we work very diligently, Al, to keep the classroom whole, to keep the resources, and each and every year we have a higher percentage of every dollar going into the classroom. But with these increased costs with Florida retirement systems that the state's passing on, it is a challenge. Let me not hold back on saying that. It is going to be more and more a challenge. I'm lucky I work in a district and with a school board that really we proactively see these things coming, and we start to shrink the budget in anticipation for that. And you can do that for so many years. So I am truly hoping that in this next session, people can help turn this around and say, you know, I think the original governor's budget called for $156 per student increase, not the 47 cents. So somewhere in between there, we have to get to some level of reasonableness here.
Now, you do have both I've talked to all the gubernatorial candidates. They all say, of course, they usually always do before the election, if they will concentrate on education, they'll get more dollars for education. So we'll have to see where that goes in November. One other thing. So how many school board members are going to be turning over this time around? You got at least 2? Is that correct?
I think we have 3 elections going on.
3, okay. But Linda Lerner retired?
Yes, she is retiring. and then Peggy O'Shea is running for election, and so is Renee
Okay,
Flowers
so they
is
are.
also
Okay, they're
running
going to
election.
just turn it out. All right, school safety, big update. We've got Senate Bill 7026.
Yes.
Did a great job in terms of requiring things, did not do a great job in providing funds. We also heard recently that the city of St. Petersburg says they're not going to help additionally fund
Right.
from the elementary. Were you expecting that, or is that kind of out of nowhere?
You know, I think everybody needs to take a deep breath on this issue. Back in April, with the sheriff and I got together right after this bill was signed and said there's multiple ways we can kind of conquer this initiative and this law. It is a law. We're going to do it. One is the most expensive way, it's an optimal way, is that we reach out to the municipalities and say, if we all want trained law enforcement, this is very expensive. Are we willing to do that?
Sure, sure.
Because the state's not offering enough revenue to do it.
Right,
The other way is to go down this road that we're kind of gravitating to, and that's by hiring much less expensive security officer, much lower cost, and to train the security officer through the Guardian program, about 132 hours, and the sheriff does this training. And so we're doing a combination of both of those. And so I provided each and every municipality chief of police an option. And I said, here's what we could do financially if you so choose to put an officer in St. Pete or Largo or Pinellas Park. And if you choose not to, let us know, because we are running out of time. We have to secure the school security officers. We have to train them.
Yeah,
they
all
have
by
to go
this fall.
through all by the summer, basically. So our timeline is going to be that we'll provide a listing, and we're working very hand in hand with Sheriff Galtieri, and I have to give him kudos for the partnership, and he's doing the training. They're meeting with our chief of police, Luke Williams, on a weekly basis. And so we see this thing moving forward in a very positive direction. But I want to thank each and every municipality for providing the options. Look, if that law was signed and I didn't go to those mayors and to those chiefs of police and said, is this an option that you would like to do, we would have been somewhat criticized for why didn't you maybe provide this option for us. So we did. And some are taking up on it, Tarpon and Gulfport and Pinellas Park, and some aren't. We're fine with that. We just need to know that by the beginning of school year, we have a trained security officer. And we're also building our school's police force here. So we're adding about 20 additional schools police officers. And the cost benefit there is that we hire these individuals. Some have retired, but they have a lifelong of training, and we like that fact that we know their background.
Just a janitor or a math teacher that all of a sudden says, "Oh no, I'm going to carry a gun."
I'll carry a gun, and I'll go through this training.
Yeah.
Now, let it be known, and the sheriff does a great job, but the training is psychological, a polygraph. They go through a lot of live shooting training. So this is not something that somebody just raises their hand.
Yeah.
We're providing really well-trained security officers or schools police in each of our schools.
And one of our programs coming up, we're going to talk to Chief Luke Williams. Name sound familiar? 16 or 17 years he was the assistant down in St. Petersburg. Good friend.
Great guy.
He is a great. I mean, you lucked out. I mean, to get a guy of that caliber.
At this time, we really lucked out. We need him now.
We're going to talk to him again, and of course, we did a big interview with him on Bay News 9, which we really enjoyed doing, and it was fun reuniting with him again. So let's talk about. So you're going to offer text message to families. Tell me how that's going to work.
You know, this came out of all of this 7026, and so when do you remember when after the unfortunate shooting, this concept about students texting parents and texting, and to stay ahead of social media is really difficult.
Yeah.
So we set up an option for our parents that if there's, it's only for an emergency. We're not texting things that are not urgent.
Sure.
Some universities do this, other school districts do it, but our parents are going to sign on. I'm certainly hoping the majority. The month of May, we have a campaign is "May I Text You," and people have responded. I've responded, and so if there's an emergency at a school or something at a school, we're going to text parents immediately the details, the truth, the accuracy. So they're not getting factors, or they're not getting texts from 4 or 5 other people that
Well,
might not be
and
the
the thing
case.
is, it's not that just getting text, but they're inaccurate.
They're inaccurate. That's what we're trying to get
Yeah.
ahead of. We're
We've had
trying
so
to
many,
get
there's a guy with a gun on campus, and then you find out, no, it was a guy with a hoe who was 2 blocks away
Right.
working in his garden. So we're kind of in a
So we're going to try to use this as a means of getting ahead of stories and ensuring the accurate communications to parents, so that if their students texting them something, they can say, no, I'm getting the real deal from
Right.
the district.
Now,
and
parents
this
have to
is
sign up for that, so it's voluntary?
Yes, it's voluntary. We're not going to force anybody
Yeah,
to
yeah,
do that.
that
But the
makes sense.
majority of parents so far, why wouldn't you want to welcome that,
Yeah.
that accurate communication? And we're assuring them that we're not texting anything but that of which is an emergency.
Yeah.
They will want to know this information if their child's out of school.
Absolutely. Communication is really important. Let's talk about some honors here. Mildred Helms Elementary, I mentioned them because our church does their pack-a-sack every weekend. So we love that school, and they're now going to be an IB school?
They are, and they just went through their accreditation. We just announced last week from the World IB Center that Mildred Helms is a primary year IB. What a celebration their staff had.
Great. Yeah.
They've been working for almost 2 years now to prepare for this. They had their site visit, the evaluation. It's a very rigorous evaluation, and so I couldn't be more thrilled for the school. Shannon Brennan, the principal, but her entire staff. This was a team effort.
Yeah.
Students are flocking to the school. It's a neat place of learning, Al. And
Right.
so,
They're all flocking there because they like the pack-a-sack that we provide to them from our church. So.
well, thank you for doing
Well,
that
we,
also.
no, we love
I
doing it.
appreciate
It's just fun. And the kids are so cool. Plus, we get a chance to get into the school and do some reading for them. So you got a Lakewood High School student that was chosen for a STEM honor. William Klein, STEM Premier Top 100 Award. What is that? Do you know anything about that?
That's a national award that, when you look at the numbers, over 350,000 students across the nation apply for this, and over 19,000 high schools compete. I mean, this is a prestigious STEM. STEM has become very popular, as you know,
Absolutely,
over
yeah.
the last several years. So to have a student in the STEM Premier Top 100, when you take a look at 350,000 applications,
That's a lot.
our CAT program at Lakewood is such a phenomenal job of training students. Companies really want these students
Oh, yeah,
at
absolutely.
a very young age with very good salaries.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, there are 14,500 tech jobs that are available in the 3-county area. We're talking about Pinellas, Hillsborough, and Manatee County. I'm just talking to some tech people talking about that, so that's really good. I also did an interview on Bay News 9 about the big summer program that's coming up. If you got a kid going into high school, okay, remember back in the day? I remember back in the day, I was traumatized about going into high school. Well, there's a summer program that's going to help smooth that out.
Yes, freshman prep, and thank you very much for doing that program.
It was fun.
Too, with
It was
Rita
great.
Vasquez.
Yeah, she was super.
Yeah, we took on a major initiative in our district between the transition from elementary to middle and middle to high. Just as you said, Al, those are traumatic times. You know,
Yeah.
I'm going to a big school. What do I do? What do I do? And same thing with elementary to middle. But specific to the freshman transition, this freshman prep, it's to bring students on campus, get them acclimated to the campus, get them involved with some of the teachers that they probably will have as a freshman, and also working the facility and really starting to dive into some of the basic classes that you see, but also having some fun there with the music and the art and mathematics and things like that.
Do you know yet how many people will be participating in Summer Bridge? Have they come up with a number yet?
It's still registered. We're still registering,
so
but we are ahead of where we were last year. And last year we were around 17,000 students. So this has grown from about 7,000 or 8,000 students from this first year. So what a tremendous growth.
One of the many, many successes we have here. Dr. Grego, thank you so much. We'll talk again. And remember, you know, the pomp and circumstance and your step. Do you have to read the names?
No, I do not.
That is a little trap.
I shake a lot of hands. But.
Great. Good seeing you. And we're back with more PCS Journal right after this break.